before we think about fire on the ground, there can be 3, 6, 9, 12, 18 months worth of work.
To date, we've been notifying all our neighbours so that they're aware that we're burning and can potentially do some prep work on their own properties if they want to, such as clearing out gutters, making sure there's nothing up against their back fences. We've also been raking around any habitat trees, so anything with hollows, so we're not interfering with any like nesting birds or anything like that, raking around signs, fences, taking fuel moisture readings.
What we usually do is we flag any trees of significance, so stringy barks, things that want to pop up. Hollows are a big thing. We have a lot of endangered animals in here, like greater gliders. So we'll rake a big circle basically around the trees to protect it so the fire can't creep up. It can be multiple days in a row as well, depending on the size of the park we're working on.
Once we've prepped the parks, we have to make sure we and our vehicles are prepped with the gear we need.
So this is our light attack vehicle. So inside the cab here, we have our radios. We have a VHF and a UHF for comms, obviously in the car, and then we've also got handheld ones as well if we're leaving the vehicle to do any fire operations. We've got our safety blankets up the top. We can deploy them if needed. Down here we've got the water tank. It's 600 litres. That's what they carry. We've got our shovels and rakos. They're really good for making control lines and things like that. In the cab here, this is where we store all our gear. So your fire bag, your deployment bag will go in there. First aid kit, recovery kits. At the back here, we've got our hose reel, hand wash. Obviously it gets real dirty when you're working on fire, so hand wash spot there. And then our hose reel here, which has about 40 metres of hose on it. In the back here, we keep our drip torches, our lay flat hoses, and some spare nozzles and hose fittings if we need to use them. And the lay flat hose is obviously to extend our normal hose if we need to keep rolling hose out. Our drip torch fuel's at the back behind there, and we've also got our suction hose. When we need to draft water from a water source, we just pop this down, throw the hose straight into the water source, and you can draft and fill up your tank. Controls for your tank runs off a diesel pump that's just behind this wall just here. And then inside here is another kind of a storage area. We keep a lot of gear, knapsacks, chainsaw chaps, helmets, a lot of our safety gear, toolkit, leaf blower, and chainsaw and fuel and bar oil on a slide as well. Another Rayco for the other crew member, and a hydrant fill point if we need to fill up real quick, and if we've got a standpipe set up, we'll definitely use that. And that's about it for the light attack unit.
In the past, we've actually had to rely on rural fire brigades for a medium attack support vehicle, but now there's 3 of these four-wheel drive, low range truck, and they proved to be quite handy.
Then we've also got our full PPE kits as well, so that includes our fire gear. We've got gloves, helmets, boots, all Australian fire rated gear.
Igniting fires from the helicopter, the machine will drop a little capsule out through the tube, and that will land on the ground where ignition happens once it lands to the ground, so all fire. So this machine, we're lucky enough to have this manufactured right here in Australia. And for this machine, we've got a little box of capsules there. They feed through the machine at the speed that we desire. It might drop the incendiaries at 300 metres apart, or it might drop them at 10 or 20 metres apart, depends on what the objective of the burn is. So they come through the machine, they're injected with a catalyst, and then they come out through this chute and onto the ground. When we initially fly over the fire ground, we're looking at the ground fuels to have a bit of an idea of how the burning might go. If the fuels look fairly sparse, then we might need to put some more capsules into it. If the fuel looks fairly dense, and we might put less into it as well. And for all of that, we consider curing of the vegetation as well, how dry it is, how wet it is, what the recent rainfall has been, and all those conditions as well.
And then they're working their way down today and getting edge containment. So our first objective going over.
There's a lot of really important information we get from the briefings. So the incident controller will obviously give us the mission for the day. So ours was obviously the planned burn, and for us to target the ridge tops, how many crews are on the ground, where they're going to be located as well. Safety is always number one for us on the ground. And then from there, we started looking at, the weather, the wind, how we're going to operate today. So once they've done their briefing, Dave then stepped in and did a bit of a brief on what we're doing and just reminding crews about, there's an aircraft in the air, be wary of, if we're coming in low, like rotor wash and things like that. I guess the main things are the safety side of things on the fire ground. In your briefings, that's what you really want. And what the mission is for the day, the job that we're trying to do.
Once briefings are done on the day, the teams are ready to enact on our incident action plans and get the burn started.